Good afternoon, good evening, or good night, whatever time of day you are joining us. This is the Victory Roll Wrestling Podcast. I am 1/3, 4th, 5th, maybe at this point, member of the Pillar. And joining me today is none other than a proud member of the Brew World Order, Dylan Gilbert. Buddy, how are we doing?
Man, we are doing good. I think I'm still recovering from the match of the week we're going to talk about later on. I might need an oxygen mask after we're done talking about it.
It's we will ramble for sure.
Oh, buddy! Spoiler alert! Sure. There will be a lot of Dynamite talk.
Yeah. We preface all the time that wrestling has its highs and lows. We will be talking about more than one show. We will be talking about all the shows, but maybe one point on a show more than another point on a show. And you will call us marks. But
I know you will.
We're not there yet. We start off the week, Monday Night Raw. We had, the main event, Sami Zayn, Ilya Dragunov, solid match. I hate to see that Braun Breaker got involved. We'll see where that goes.
They can't help themselves with that guy, I swear.
No, not at all.
You've got Ilya and Sami Zayn who could absolutely burn it down. Why interrupt it, I get storytelling, I know, but come on, man. Just let those two go 30 minutes. That's great television. Absolutely.
We had some tag teams mishaps and solo matches. Caden Carter and Katana Chance.
Yes.
I got that right?
Yep, you got it.
Versus, basically, they're just pushing the whole trio of Sonya Deville, Zoe Starks, and Shayna Baszler. Cool, they're 3 MMA women. We'll see where that goes. But big talking point led to not controversial talk, but some people talking on radios about how a certain reaction was said. But first thing to talk about was the Eric Rowan promo. Solid.
Dude. I've said it, I think, with every promo the Wyatts have put out, and I promise this is not copy-paste reaction. They are just killing this storytelling with this. Like, they're building... Every person so far has had, like, a deep connection to Bray, to the universe. I mean, like, watching the behemoth that is Rowan, like, breaking down and just being human when, like, whole run of his was just him being just this... unfeeling monster. It hit me in the chest.
It was rough. And to hear him say that he had 2 brothers that he lost. Definitely not the first time we have had mentions of Brody on WWE TV, but it's the first time in a long time that we have had mentions of Brody Lee. But then that turns into Chad Gable and all of his excellent intelligence getting up in front of everybody and going, I have figured out the mystery of Monday Night Raw. Uncle Howdy is none other than Bo Dallas. I'm calling him out. And Bo Dallas comes walking out in Bo Dallas, not Uncle Howdy, not with the family, not with the 6.
No
just
music,
Bo Dallas.
no
music
going down,
no lights, no nothing, and gets jumped.
He got about 10 steps out too. Like, I mean, he had not hit the point where the ramp wedges in yet, and just bam, jumped.
No, very much so.
It was quick, and I think to lead into the talking point, there was not much of an initial crowd reaction because I've been in the cheap seats at a Raw. Unless the screens are telling you who the person is, it takes you a good 5-10 seconds, like especially high up or far back, to tell who people are unless it is like obvious. And so, I mean, you just see a guy in a jacket and jeans just get the bejesus kicked out of him from behind. You're maybe assuming possibly Bo, but like it takes a crowd of people a little bit of time to kind of catch what's going on.
Yeah, very much so. And he gets his butt absolute beat. This is after the jumping on the ramp. Creed brothers have turned heel, joining sides with Chad Gable.
which great move.
Oh, absolutely.
Great
It
move.
was absolutely solid. And I agree with everything that they've done with this so far. To the point that Bo Dallas breaks down laughing while he's getting the absolute snot beaten out of him. Maybe even a little Easter egg of a yeah, yeah, yeah thrown in while he's getting his ass handed to him. And then there, the Creed brothers, Gable standing over Bo while he's still laughing away. Lights go down, the piano hits, and here come the Wyatt Six.
Which to bring back to that talking point, man, the reaction when the first lights dropped, the reaction when it went black,
Right.
and the reaction when that first piano note hit, people were behind it, man. There's no way you could tell me that the crowd was not invested the second that note hit, and the family came out.
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome.
It was
what a visual.
Correct. And Creed brothers and Gable dipped before they could ever touch, possibly setting up a 6-man. We don't know. We don't know what things look like.
I'd love to see a 6-man.
It'd be solid. We're still 2 weeks out from SummerSlam. I don't see it happening at SummerSlam. I think they have maybe a little bit more build to this story. But there is potential to put out, if they are going with a weekly video package promo, there is potential for a Joe Gacy and a Dexter Lumis promo in the next 2 weeks, therefore setting up a human side of the 3 other members of the 6.
Yeah. Because I would love to see how, I mean, obviously, like, if you just look at it, like, Gacy, his gimmick kind of seemed like it would fit. Dexter Lumis's gimmick seemed like it would fit, but I'd love to see how, like, in this universe, how these two factor in. Because these guys don't have a public connection to Bray. I mean, Joe Gacy was doing a Bray Wyatt style gimmick in NXT that I thought was really fun.
It was great.
But I don't see, I don't know what in universe the plan is how they are part of this. I can't wait to see it.
I mean, maybe it was just one of those things that maybe they were on board with Wyndham's original plan.
Right.
And then with Wyndham passing, that kind of changed things. It
could
be that they're doing the spooky stuffs, and Wyndham was like, "Oh no, we need them in there," and then Wyndham passed.
And I think that could be it, because I know when they did the Extreme Rules return, and they, when all of the characters are in the crowd, there was a picture of everybody in the full attire, and I'm 90% sure Joe Gacy was playing the pig at that point.
Yes.
So it could factor in. I love how they're kind of blending the reality and the storytelling of this, like, not just what these guys have been through in front of our eyes, but what they've been through behind the scenes. They're melding this stuff together beautifully.
Indeed. Yeah, and then we talked about the main event, Sami Zayn versus Ilya Dragunov. It was a solid match. I felt like there was a major shift in energies halfway through, but I think it's just because of the eventual interference between Braun Breaker. But that rounds off Raw. Moving into NXT. NXT was fun. We got the NXT match debut of the Rascals.
Right.
In a 6-man match. The only real talking point that I found. 6-man match went off without a hitch. It's 3 of NXT UK / the UK scene's top guys, and then 3 guys that grew up on the indies and created who they are. MSK, the Rascals, Wesley, whoever you want to call them. Putting on a burner, but something happened on commentary.
This one of my favorite things that happened this week. I believe it's Vic Joseph. If I'm wrong, correct me. But the head commentator says that someone is watching this match very intently. Booker T drops the hat. Don't say it. Don't say the catchphrase. He said, "Fine, I'll say it." Joe Hendry, and Joe Hendry's music hits immediately. And just the joy in his voice as he screams, "It worked," over an electric crowd pop. It was one of my favorite things in wrestling this week. Just acknowledge the meme.
Absolutely.
It was
Acknowledge the
so
meme.
good.
Say his name and he'll appear. It's too good. Which, we will commentate on that later.
Yes.
When we talk about TNA for maybe possibly the first time on the podcast.
I think I've brought them up slightly before.
We've mentioned them, but we haven't done a recap of any of their shows.
No, they're about to get me to watch.
Oh, for sure.
I'm
I'm
about to get their app, man. It's over with.
For sure. But next, if we were not marks when we talked about Joe Hendry, we will be marks after we talk about Wednesday Night Dynamite.
100%.
Because a match that we thought was going to wait till Wembley, and I'm under the impression that we are still going to get in Wembley.
Oh, dude, they have to run this back. If not at Wembley, they have to run it back in the next 6 months.
MJF versus Will Ospreay for the AEW International Championship. Boy.
Let me tell you, I did not have MJF winning at 59 minutes and 59 seconds.
Dude.
On my bingo card anywhere.
I had time limit draw.
I've said the same thing. And Tony Khan's been on this run recently. Like, I think he's bringing people in, and like these storylines are getting more cohesive, which I love.
Yes.
That's always been the knock, is they don't tell stories. They just put on dream matches, which is, I mean,
it's valid.
I'm one of the sickos. I love it.
It's a valid match. It's a valid idea.
I get people wanting more story, and they're giving it to us, man. Like this, I think it was somewhere around minute 40. I turned to my wife and I'm like, this thing's going an hour, and it's probably going time limit draw. And when they popped the countdown timer on the screen, and a ref's arm goes down, and I'm like, oh my God, that's 4 seconds. 2, that's 3. And when he hits the 3 count and there's 1 second left, my heart dropped for like that half a second. Yeah, they lifted MJF's arm, and it was just like a flooding of emotion. It was because I love MJF, but this was Ospreay's match to lose, And
for sure.
If he held out 1 second longer,
right,
1 second longer,
right,
which also tells you how perfectly those men timed that match.
Absolutely,
perfectly.
Yes, I did not know it was going time limit, but I knew it was going at least 45. You do not open a show with a match like that if you are not going the entire time.
Yeah.
They set it so that you can open the show and there is no way in garbage that you are going over their allotted time slot for the TV show.
Yep.
So when Justin Roberts, right?
Yep.
Dapper Yapper?
The Dapper Yapper.
When he called 5 minutes, maybe a minute, I can't remember. But he calls it out, and I go, this might be time limit. Okay, we're going to sit and watch. And I had a rough count in my head of what was going on. And I'm sitting there on the couch, and I'm going, they're going to do the Adam Cole finish.
That was my exact thought.
They're going to do the exact same thing because I saw Max go down, and I saw Will go to Remsburg. And so he's talking with Remsburg, and I'm like, they're wasting time. That's how you do it, whatever. Ospreay turns around, pops him, and in my head, I have Adam Cole finish. So when Max lays on top of him and Remsburg's counting the 3, I go, Remsburg's got up too early. Like, I'm thinking it's a botch. Like, Remsburg's supposed to be hitting 2, and then Bell's supposed to be ringing while his hand's still up in the air. Nope, not at all. And if it was, props to AEW for turning that into a solid finish.
Yeah. I think Remsburg is one of the refs, man. Like, I love watching him ref matches because he completely gets it. When he has those moments where, like, hey, this is very obviously a spot for him to, like, step in. Like, MJF grabbing the rope during like the submission hold, and Remsburg gives him the count, and then he kicks his arm off the rope.
Yep.
Like, I'm not a massive fan of refs interfering, but I think that was the perfect way to do it. Of like, we can't, like, the match can't end like this.
Yes. Well, and so go ahead.
Just letting them fight on the outside, stuff like that. Like, it obviously, like, we know there's parts of wrestling that are planned out, but I think Bryce Remsburg makes it not so obvious in certain situations like that, where it's like, because he's following them the whole time and he is begging them to get back into the ring.
Correct.
And not in a cartoonish way. He's literally like, guys, I can't let this match end like this. Please get back in the ring.
Yep.
Because like it just he sells the whole thing like he is trying to give these fans a show, but he's trying to also keep the law.
Right.
And I'm big fan of Remsburg as a ref.
Absolutely. And dude, like fighting on the outside. First off, starting a match when you have the mentality of like, no, Max is going to do something dirty, whether it's, he's dipping out as soon as the bell rings and he's losing by count out or whatever. He's going to do something stupid, right? And the fact that he rolled out and hopped the barricade, doing what everyone thought he was going to do, just to grab a bottle of water and throw it all over fans and then hop back in the ring, popped the tar out of me. Like, well, I lost it.
We even said, like, I think last week we definitely said to each other, maybe on air, that like maybe this is one of those where they build this match, they get everybody hyped up, like this could be a classic, and then bell rings, MJF rolls out, hops the barricade, and just leaves
and dips. Yep.
Or it's a situation where like he does some sort of screwy finish, which I mean, to our credit, we put it on the board.
We technically put it on the board, a screwy finish, but I'm okay with that kind of screwy finish.
Dude, that was beautifully done because like he still delivered an absolute classic.
Absolutely.
Whatever you think about Meltzer's star ratings, I'd say 5 stars easy. And now if it was in Tokyo, that's 6.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That could have been 8 in Tokyo.
I think 57 in the Dome, but whatever.
Yeah.
But man,
which I mean, shoot, we're getting an AEW show in the Dome at the end of the year or the very beginning of next year.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy.
It's going to be nuts.
I love the state that wrestling is in right now, where we are having these like cross, like even WWE getting into like the cross brand stuff, like with their stuff with TNA. They've done some loose like sending AJ overseas.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's gonna be nuts, dude.
But yeah, man, I think that MJF Ospreay, they paced that match beautifully because it went the full hour, and there are matches that go an hour and they feel like they went an hour, and there's matches that went an hour and you're looking down wondering where the time went. And props to AEW, props to TNT, whoever allowed there to be such a gap between commercial breaks. In that hour, I think there were 4 picture-in-pictures.
I think there may have been less.
I mean, there was so much going on.
Yeah.
And they spaced those commercial breaks out so it draws you entirely in. And I think the most perfect cut to commercial was when Ospreay took the spot onto his shoulder. And
he's working with Doc Samson.
They hurry up and pull it to picture-in-picture, but they keep it in picture-in-picture. They keep the camera on, so like some commercial for like Applebee's or some crap, and I just watched Ospreay get his arm yanked and shoved back in the socket.
Yep.
Which, whether it was actually out or not, it doesn't matter. It looked enough where like everybody watching was like, "Oh my God, he's having his arm reset."
Right.
And they went another 20.
Right.
Like, I mean, say what you will about that like Japanese huge style match that go those hour-long barn burners, man. I love them.
Absolutely.
Especially when you got 2 guys like that can go.
That can go for sure. For sure.
People say MJF is just a great gimmick and a great promo, dude. He proved all of that BS. Like,
absolutely,
he killed it.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've done enough ranting on that one.
Dude, I could go 60 minutes. Give me
we can go 60 minutes.
Mask.
We can go the whole 9 yards and break that sucker down.
Watch along this week.
No, I ain't doing a 60-minute watch along. Maybe if we get like a Patreon or something.
Yeah, there we go. Something to look forward to.
Correct. but Dynamite, I would not say it was lackluster. They followed through with some solid matches, but I mean, it's hard. It's hard to, for me at least, it's hard to remember what happened when you had an hour-long barn burner of a match.
Yeah, I mean, you had a technical masterclass, and then you still had an hour of TV left.
Correct.
Which, again, placement early, I think did a great job of, you think it's going to be 10, 20.
Right.
And when they go that full hour, man, like I was just, my excitement level just kept going up and up. And God bless my neighbors on the other side of the wall. They had to think that I was a complete lunatic because I was just getting louder and louder and louder. And then, man, when your cool off segments involve Mariah May's first promo under the new, I guess,
yes,
this her new version of the timeless gimmick,
the timeless Mariah May, yes,
and then Minoru freaking Suzuki challenging Chris Jericho to a match next week, and beating down all the members of the Learning Tree,
which is nuts, which is great.
Amazing.
You know, this is something that we've been looking forward to. Anytime the Murder Grandpa is inside of AEW or any company that we watch, it's always a great time.
Oh, dude! If you can watch his entrance without standing up and screaming "Kaze ni Nare," are you even a wrestling fan?
You're not. I'll answer that question for you. You're not.
Murder Grandpa is the king for a reason.
Yes. But yeah, Dynamite, solid. If you didn't watch Dynamite, go find it. Maybe, if you're watching this a year or two in the future, maybe it's on HBO Max. Probably not, though.
I hope so. God, I hope so. I need that
Thursday night. Thursday night was TNA. TNA aired. We will talk about TNA, but not Thursday because we didn't pay attention to it. And we will here in the near future because of what happened on Saturday.
They're dragging me in, man.
We've got SmackDown on Friday night. We had the beatdown at the end of the night. Bloodline comes out, beats the tar out of Cody, hold them down while they beat the tar out of Kevin Owens, and then send Cody through a table. We're doing the whole, Solo, like nothing can stop the Bloodline. Solo Sikoa versus Cody at SummerSlam, just for Cody to overcome.
I kind of said it right after he won the title at Mania. I loved it. I think that was one of the best moments in wrestling this year. And I think if that moment does not make your top 10 at the end of the year, I don't know what you're watching.
Right.
But Cody is a great babyface chasing, and he is a great dickhead heel. He is not a great babyface champion because inevitably the things that you grew to love in him kind of start to go away when he doesn't have that mountain to overcome.
Right.
It's the same thing that happened in AEW. He was so good in that, like, I'm chasing after these championships. And when you took that away from him and he couldn't challenge anymore, and then he goes into the TNT title scene, like, he was great with that, the feud with Brody. But at a certain point, the fans get tired of the same thing. And I think, like, hopefully if he's learned anything, it's when to pull the trigger on turning.
Yep.
Because, man, I think he could crush it in like a Homelander-style heel run.
It would be nuts.
The merch machine is strong. I get it. But at a certain point, I mean, Triple H is not stupid.
But that Homelander merch will make money.
Look, that'll be the second Cody shirt I own right there.
Yes.
Bullet Club Cody. Codelander. Give me that.
Yep.
Because, I mean, look.
Codelander, dude.
Cody in Bullet Club really was that, especially during, like, the Bullet Club is fine run and everything. It was that, like, the presentation forward is still Smiley McBaby face, but he's this sinister son of a bitch behind the scenes. Yep. Give me that.
Absolutely.
With WWE's production.
Oh, they can.
Their level of storytelling. Dude, I mean, that's a license to print money the other direction.
Absolutely.
The Cody chants will get a little deeper in pitch, but there will still be people buying T-shirts.
Yes.
You might not sell the Pharaoh plushies as much, but the T-shirts will sell. A little bit bigger sizes this time, but they'll sell.
Absolutely. Another thing, we had a match between Tiffany Stratton and Mia Yim, who is now
Michin.
Michin, yes.
Which is, I believe, Korean for crazy.
It's something like that.
Why
sorry,
she can't
Koreans.
just be Mia Yim, who she's been her entire career. Man, for a while, one of my favorites on the women's roster. But hey, man, she's getting TV time, so I can't be that mad about it.
Correct. And she's getting Tiffy time. So
she got Tiffy time, all right.
Yep, we do the whole like Nia Jax and Tiffy teaming up together. Bayley comes out and jumps them and breaks the Money in the Bank contract briefcase. Or as breaks it as much as she can. It's a metal briefcase. I think it had like a dent, and then she opened it up and like opened it all the way by stomping on it. It was kind of weird. But the only exciting news that I have out of that, and the only prediction that I have, is that we're going to get a Tiffy in the Bank briefcase.
I'm going to put my prediction on the board, man. The same way we got the Otis Money in the Bank lunchbox, we're getting like the Tiffy in the Bank like Prada like, bag or some crazy. It's going to be like a pink bedazzled purse or something. Like I just feel it.
I didn't even think about that. I just thought of a pink bedazzled briefcase, but no, you've got to do the purse.
It's got to be the purse.
Oh, dude.
Daddy's money had to buy a new purse.
Come on. That's good. I'll give you that one.
Trips, if you're listening, and I know you're not.
I call BS on a lot of your freaking on your fantasy booking, but that is.
Hey, it's all got sound logic. It's just what's next is not exactly of my concern.
Correct. That was about it for SmackDown. We had a few tag matches, this, that, and the other. Then moving on to Rampage, which is probably going on the same time as SmackDown.
I think it's like right after.
I am not a fan of Rampage. We got an hour worth of TV, and most of the time it's a taping from the night after Dynamite. So if we go back to Dynamite and we look at what happened, where everyone was out of their seat for an hour, and then they were out of their seat again because the King, Minoru Suzuki, Murder Grandpa, showed up. They're dead.
And then at the end of the show, which I think we glazed right past, is like you've got Swerve and Okada, which I knew was going to break down. You've got two of your top champions in the company. You're not going to have one beat the other. But the chaos scene, the confirmation of everybody that's going to be in Team AEW and Blood and Guts, with the Acclaim coming out, Darby making the save, coming down from the rafters like Sting.
Yep.
That crowd is spent. I know the Dynamite we were at when they recorded the Rampage after. We had just watched the surprise return of Rob Van Dam in a hardcore match against Swerve.
Yep.
We watched Rob Van Dam go through a table like 50 feet in front of us. Like my voice is gone. I'm sure your voice was gone. Everybody around us voices
my
were
voice
gone.
was gone before the end of the first match. Yes.
And then like the matches we got were fun. Like we got Ricky Starks in New Orleans. They had to give us that.
Of course.
Like it was great, but essentially, man, like Rampage is it's a house show. If we're breaking it down, Rampage is the house show. It's the matches that are like they do a great job of weaving stories in. They give you the promo stuff. Like they've made a decent show out of it, but it's the like WWECW to like the SmackDown and Raw of Dynamite and Collision.
Yeah. Which things happen. It is what it is. I still stand by the fact that if it's not a taping, it'd be better. But I understand why you don't want to sell an arena for an hour worth of TV. When you can smack it on and do 3 hours worth of TV on a Wednesday.
Well, and you get the dark matches before. Like I think bang for the buck ticket wise, like I swear we're not just AEW homers. We watch both.
We're not. We do watch both, but sometimes it's just easier to watch it on a Wednesday night.
We criticize AEW too. It does happen. But like bang for the buck, like I bought Raw tickets and I watched a lot of video packages in that 3.5 hours. You get in for doors in an AEW show. You've got Ring of Honor dark matches up front. You've got the Dynamite taping, and then you've got an hour of Rampage. Like they give you almost 4 hours of nonstop. Just something is happening the entirety of the time.
And we talked about this. I can't remember if it was on the pod or maybe it was after. We talked about picture-in-picture. how I personally am not a fan when I'm sitting at home watching a tiny screen and not knowing what's going on because I can't hear commentary or I can't hear the match, whatever. But if you think about it, that action is happening in the arena. So for us, when we went and watched AEW, we had nonstop action. We had no idea when they hit commercial.
You can't tell.
Not at all. WWE, on the other hand,
and again, you can 100% tell because like there will be like I hate the term rest hold because like nothing that you guys are doing inside of that ring is a rest per se.
No.
There's times you work a hold to get the you slow things down a little bit to build it back up, but conveniently every time there would be a commercial break, one of those holds would get locked on or something would slow down or it would become very apparent that's like, okay, they're slowing down more so than just the usual like ebb and flow of a match.
Well, and the thing I hate too, because I was watching live at home when you were at that Raw. Mm-hmm. So I remember seeing Finn Balor, Damian, somebody come out, and as soon as they got in the ring, commercial hit. We run a 5-minute commercial, however long commercials run, and then we have a video package, and then when we go back, the music, the Tron, and the wrestler are still going in the ring, and then we get the second participant in the ring. So I can only imagine sitting there for 7 minutes while that just happens.
Let me spoil it for you. The music is not playing the whole time.
Awesome.
So it definitely, music is playing, and then when they're in, at least when I was, at the Raw I was at, like when they're in commercial, instead of it being like commercials for whatever's on TV, it's like video stuff for like WWE, like the events that are upcoming, or like the Be a Star campaign, or like the wrestlers who have been in the commercials with like different companies, like you watch the LA Knight Slim Jim commercial, stuff like that. So all of that stuff is going on. Meanwhile, menacing Damian Priest is just standing in the ring as like this, these 5-year-olds are telling their story of like how the Be a Star campaign helped them in school. And I'm like, while I love that they do this sort of thing, just the ridiculousness of giant brooding Damian Priest standing there with his arms folded as just like these kids are telling heartwarming stories over top of him. It's one of the things that makes me love wrestling. It's so silly, but
it's awesome.
Did it stop anybody from popping when his music kicked back on? Not at all.
No.
His music kicks back on, and then Drew McIntyre comes out, and that's like, what 5-minute commercial break? Like, we're watching these two behemoths go to war.
Right. But yes, that enough hating on Rampage. My personal highlight of Rampage was a promo with Orange Cassidy, Tomohiro Ishii, Kyle O'Reilly, and Mark Briscoe.
The conglomeration, baby. The
conglomeration. Where none other than Mark Briscoe introduces Tomohiro Ishii big time. Big time. Love him.
Dude, Mark Briscoe's the man.
I can get behind some redneck kung fu, my man. I love it. I love the craziness, the wildness, and what made this promo just top notch. And I'll do my best Mark Briscoe impression, which isn't even an impression. The word of the day is miscombobulation. Kyle O'Reilly immediately goes, country of origin? American. Can I have that in a sentence? When I was all miscombobulation, Roderick Strong hit me with his knee and held my Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship above my head. Mark Briscoe is a national treasure, and him and R-Truth need to be held in the highest regard.
If they have to be on the Rushmore of wrestling promos. It's got to be like too serious, too silly, and those two, they're the too silly. They've got it.
And we won't talk about the too serious because we'll be here all night.
Oh my God, that's a fight for another episode. But
that is a full episode where we take down brackets of Mount Rushmores.
Maybe next March we'll do bracketology.
Ugh.
But Orange Cassidy being just in the same area as these promos is always one of my favorite things in the world because he's just hands in the pockets, just he's like, he's trying his hardest not to break. And then usually like Mark Briscoe says something off the wall, Kyle O'Reilly says something off the wall trying to match his energy, and then they walk off and they cut to Orange. It's like, yeah. And then he walks off, and as soon as that camera cuts, he just hits the floor laughing.
Absolutely.
It's got to be like acting in a scene with Will Ferrell. It's got to be the hardest thing in the freaking world to sit there during those promos and not laugh.
Yes.
Because he's just naturally hilarious.
Absolutely. And he's just so chaotic, too. Like, he will pull anything and everything out of thin air.
We were talking about it off air, man. Like, for as many classics as the Briscoe brothers have had, the thing that like I went back to when Jay passed was all of their promos together, because Jay was such this angry straight man, and you had just the comedy force that was Mark. Because I mean, Jay's out there like, we're gonna bring it to you, we're gonna whoop your ass, and then but hey, watch your profanity, we don't want to pollute this beautiful air out here, the chickens can hear you swearing. Dude, it's perfect. You had just this yin and yang of like completely straightforward, I'm gonna kill you, and like, hey, let's go have fun out there. It was perfect, man. Like
and Mark can flip that switch.
And when he does, it's wild, which
gnarly.
Is why I'm so excited he's going to be in Blood and Guts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just license to
violent
print
meter
money.
is going through the roof.
License to print money, that match.
Absolutely. The only suck thing is that Swerve's on the opposite or the same team as him.
They're going to make me pull for Swerve for at least one match.
It'll be all right. I'm an elitist for life. But yeah, Rampage, house show, hour long, not much to talk about. We had a couple of matches. They were decent. I'll give it to them.
Yeah, they're not putting on bad matches. It's just that there's not a lot. Like it's a lot of sizzle, not a lot of steak on Rampage.
Correct, and it's just very quick.
Yes, everything is very quick.
It's very hard to get invested into how quick some of those matches are. Now, sure, some of them are job matches. Take Big Bill and Chris Jericho versus the Outrunners.
Yep.
Just quick little, let's blow up Big Bill. Chris Stat versus the random indie talent. Lasted all of 10 seconds.
Some of the matches that used to be AEW Dark and Dark Elevation, I think, have found their way to Rampage, which is not a bad thing. It's a great way to showcase independent talent. But it is, you used to have that thing that was specifically for this purpose, and now you're kind of... I mean, you don't want to get rid of that, because I think a lot of amazing indie talent have gotten on people's television sets, man. Just a couple of my favorites being Ricky Shane Page. Kennedy Copeland got a full tilt name change off of AEW that she's rolled with, because she was Kennedy Copeland. Right as Adam Copeland comes in, she gets a spot on there. They call her Kennedy Hardcastle in reference to Edge's first gimmick, Sexton Hardcastle.
Yep.
To her credit, brilliantly rolls with it. New t-shirts, new match graphics, everything.
Yeah.
It literally took what could have been a 5-minute spot where it's just like, I'm here to eat a pinfall, and she just like turned her gimmick slightly and just off to the races. And like it's cool. Like it's a good thing they're doing.
Absolutely. And then we've seen other indie talent like stupidity. We've seen a guy named Braxton Hunter in Ring of Honor. I don't know who that guy is. We've seen a Dale Springs. May he rest in peace.
R.I.P. Gone but not forgotten, homie.
Yeah, he's all right. But no, very much so.
Nah, man, it's like I said, a great thing they're doing.
Absolutely.
Don't take it away because the show left. Like, it's fine.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And they throw it in, and if it's on Rampage, so be it. We talked about Rampage is only an hour, but it's an hour at the end of the night. So I would rather you throw in your smaller indie talent, getting jobbed out to whoever at the end of a night for the arena versus quote unquote wasting time with someone else.
Yeah.
But going on to Collision, highlight of Collision was the arena.
Dude,
that arena looks good, dude.
People will complain. People on the internet are going to complain. It's what they do. It's what they're good at. They had a building that was 900 people.
Yeah.
They packed a 900-person venue. The crowd, I've heard a lot of the crowd wasn't loud. Well, you're comparing what is a big indie show to an arena show. So, yeah, they're not going to be as loud as they were at Dynamite where they probably had 5,000-7,000 people in, in like a full-size basketball arena. You've got 900 people now in this esports arena. That looked beautiful.
Oh yeah.
And I like it. It kind of felt like, and not in a bad way, it felt like Collision kind of took a step towards being like NXT, like Full Sail NXT. It's a little more intimate venue, but the on-camera visuals are beautiful. You've got a crowd that it's smaller, but it's people that want to be there. You could tell that it didn't look like a papered house to me. That looked like 900 people or so that wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And man, like the matches were good. The camera angles were awesome. I love the shot up the ramp for that building. Like I think this residency could stand to be a good thing.
Yeah,
there's
sure.
a lot of complaints about AEW not selling houses out. Move to venues like that, man. Like let Collision be that, and let Dynamite be the touring show.
Yeah. Or worst case, flip it up. Like if it's one of those things that we have, I say we. I'm not part of the AEW team. If we turn into Rampage in a residency situation, and we just record a Rampage once a month and do tapings on Friday nights and do
they did for a while.
Collision and Dynamite touring, so be it.
I think having that residency is not a bad thing. Having like Ring of Honor do the pay-per-view in that building is going to be great.
Right.
I think it's a good thing, man. Like it's a change. Like anything, there's going to be a little bit of like culture shock immediately, but I think net positive. Yeah. I've seen a lot of sentiment of, well, they're not going to be able to draw that building 6 weeks in a row, and to which I respond with Full Sail. It was every month to start, and then it moved to every week. Full Sail was packed, and that crowd was hot. And what happens is these people are going to see these wrestlers every week. It becomes their local indie. It becomes their local thing. It becomes the thing that, like, I am interested so much more in this person because I see them week in and week out. Why is that a bad thing?
Correct.
It
makes you want to go to Arlington.
Yeah, same. They're already talking about potentially a pay-per-view out there, and we're gonna have to make a trip.
We may have to.
They said potentially big pay-per-view in the Dallas Arlington area. I'm like, done, sold.
Still waiting for AEW Cajun Carnage, but that's fine. It's
AEW ... something Southern.
Beignet Bash. I don't know.
Voodoo Violence. Oh god.
Yeah, stupid. But Collision, jokes aside, we had what we confirmed today to be an injury in Sky Blue, who's going to be taking some time off. We hate to see it.
I definitely hate to see it, but she's in the watchful hands of Kyle Fletcher, man. That's not a bad place to be.
That we know of. Hasn't been confirmed in a minute, but that we know of.
He posted a picture of her in the cast and said, "Don't worry, Dr. Kyle is checking in."
Then that's fine. We have confirmation.
I love, And when it happens to be two great wrestlers, it's even better.
Correct. And then we had the trios tag match for the trios titles with Christian Cage, Kill Switch, and Nick Wayne taking the win.
And I thought a really solid back and forth.
Oh, yeah. It was solid. I mean, it would have to be with Juice. Juice is... I don't think it's his first match back.
No, I think it's second maybe.
Yeah, second or third, but they had a showcase. Back. Yeah.
But I think, I saw somebody, I love reading Reddit comments because you really see the unfiltered opinions of humanity. And somebody said, I swear Tony Khan is absolutely hell-bent on never giving Juice Robinson a title in this company. Because, he's had multiple shots where it's it would make so much sense for him to win right now. Nope. And I think if you've watched Juice Robinson as long as I have, he's so much better when he's chasing.
Oh, for sure.
His greatest New Japan moments were when he was going back and forth with Jay White for the U.S. title.
Jay White, John Moxley, any of them. When he was chasing that title, so much better.
206 bones in the human body, MF, and you broke one of them. That is one of the greatest promos ever.
Also, preface, Juice, we love you.
Of course.
We don't mean any regard in saying that you're a bad champion. You're just a really good not champion.
He is so perfect in the chase. Now, when he got the title run as Rock Hard Juice Robinson, it was gold.
Oh, yes.
But he is so good in the chase. Just that promo he cut on Jay White, and I want to say was it during G1? It was during one of the tours. I think it might have been during a G1 tour. And him and Jay White are going back and forth, and he's switching in and out of Japanese and English.
Yeah,
and by switching in and out of,
I think it was a G1.
He's saying in Japanese like, "I'll see you tomorrow, MFer, and the next day, MFer, and the day after that, MFer." But it's like Japanese, and then he's switching back to English to drop an F-bomb and go back.
Yes.
And I just remember that was the promo I saw, and I was like, "Is that freaking CJ Parker? Okay, I'm gonna have to pay attention to this guy."
I knew who Juice Robinson was before that promo, but yes, that is CJ Parker.
That was
it did not click. It did not click with you that it was CJ Parker until that promo.
Oh yeah.
But yes,
dude, Juice was Juice is the man. Like, I'm so happy that he's back in wrestling. Wrestling's better with Juice in it.
Oh yes, yeah. He's so much fun, dude, and the fact that he looks like the freaking wildebeest wild thing from Honeycomb commercials makes it 30 times better than what it is. But speaking of G1, we're not quite done, but we're going to end the episode with a G1 start.
Like a preview, if you will.
Preview of a G1. There you go, a better word, because I'm very bad at English. I speak redneck, guys, not English.
I mean, look, you wrestle in the South, you got to have that as your primary.
Absolutely. But we go into Saturday for the first time in full recap, talking about TNA, because it was their big Slammiversary show. Really and truly, we want to hit maybe one, maybe two highlights. But the big highlight that I think we're going to need to hit, Dylan, Chris Statlander is marrying PCO.
Steph DeLander. Close, buddy, close. And I was going to make the same joke.
Stat! No! I wrote down Stat!
Nope, Steph DeLander.
It's Steph. I don't know why I wrote down Stat. I'm sorry to both of you.
SDL is engaged to PCO. We're sorry, Mance Warner. I'm sure he's in shambles right now. He's
got to be.
He's drinking light beers. He's throwing lariats at anything he can in that house.
GCW's going to be a madhouse.
Oh, man. Old Mancer's pissed. But, yeah, I mean, SDL coming down, proposing to PCO. Earl Hebner coming back in Montreal and not getting booed out of the building. Mustafa Ali's unbeaten run in the X Division, he finally ends to Speedball Mike Bailey, which, if there's anybody deserving,
solid pick.
Speedball's that guy.
Absolutely.
He's one of those guys that, man, he had some setbacks early on in the run, and for him to hit the stride he's hit in the last 5 years or so, it's well deserved, because he should have already been there.
Oh yeah.
If he didn't run into the visa issues and stuff, he would 150% be all over your television right now. So I'm so glad that TNA is giving him that platform, because he's the real deal. I've watched enough GCW shows. It's the real freaking deal.
Absolutely.
ABC beating the System kind of made me sad. Chris Bay and Ace Austin are fine.
Yeah,
they're good wrestlers. I've got no beef with them, but man, I just loved what the System was doing. Hopefully they regroup, come back even crazier, but we'll see.
Oh, for sure.
But
we will see.
Speak of the System, main event of the night.
Yeah,
segue.
Dude.
I'm good podcasting, buddy.
Yeah, I know you are. I'm very bad at it.
Segue of the night. The System's Moose, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, goes into a 6-pack challenge with Josh Alexander. I'm going to do this from memory. Josh Alexander, Joe Hendry, Steve Macklin, Frankie Kazarian, and Nick Nemeth.
He still didn't come out of the closet.
You say his name.
I was just...
We're hoping one day.
It'll happen one day.
Joe, if you stumble upon us, come on for a watch-along. It would be the greatest.
Episode 500, dude.
We'll watch some WCPW or something.
Dude.
Local hero Joe Hendry, baby. Come on. We've been fans way back. Please come on.
But yes, 6-pack challenge. Biggest pop of the night. was not the finish.
No.
It was Joe Hendry eliminating Moose.
Which, amazing.
Oh, yeah. Had to.
But how do you not capitalize on that?
You don't capitalize because a man named Nick Nemeth. I do it on purpose. I'm really good at podcasting.
He's pretty good at YouTube.
Don't pull that yet. Don't pull that yet. Too soon.
If you know,
Too
you know.
soon.
And if you don't know, you shouldn't.
Yeah, please don't know.
But
yeah, no.
man.
Nick Nemeth picks up the win. TNA pretty much got booed out of the building after Joe Hendry got eliminated.
I think, look, I was a Ziggler guy. I like Nick Nemeth. Yes, he should have a world title run. Yes, he's the real deal, man. He's made so many wrestlers look great. And maybe we do need to build Joe Hendry more, but I think the best way I could describe the reaction to him winning the championship is the sound of 4,000 people going, okay, well, at least it's not Kazarian. And like nothing against Frankie, man. I love Frankie, but
right.
like, could you picture him at this point in his career being the top guy in the company? No, he's the guy he's that veteran presence that's there in the locker room to put on bangers and elevate guys to the next level.
Correct.
So I think it was a collective 4,000 people going like, all right, I mean, this is
we're
like my
okay
third
with the
pick.
choice. Yeah, it's not our top pick, but we're okay with this choice.
He was a lot of people's second or third pick for it, but also, I mean, like I love to see what they're going to do with it. I think he's crazy talented. Obviously, it's not going to be a waste, but
absolutely.
Man, the iron with Joe Hendry is so hot, they had to change plans for this match. They had to put him in this match because he's white hot right now. Yep. Capitalize, man.
And the only reason why I say it, and it is because we haven't seen it yet, I believe they have plans for him on NXT. We have yet to see the world title go to NXT.
Right.
So that is why I say, we have plans for Joe Hendry, but he can't bring the title onto NXT. Maybe that's an agreement, or maybe that's an agreement that specifically says only NXT champ and TNA champ can go at each other. And if that's not in the plans for Joe to do something with Ethan, which it doesn't look like it is right now, it could be that situation. And if that's the case, then I'm completely fine with Joe getting exposure on NXT.
I've seen a few people say that they think, and of course this is the internet wrestling community, so grain of salt. But I've seen a lot of sentiment of people thinking that like maybe that was like their way of giving Joe Hendry that like we're not going to bury him. We're going to give him his moment. We're going to let this crowd. We're going to reward this crowd that got him to this point. But he's probably going to be on NXT, if not full time, a lot.
Yeah.
Because since the WWE TNA conglomeration has started, Joe Hendry is the one that's been on the most, far and away. Grace was on like twice. The Rascals had that moment.
Yeah.
Charlie Dempsey's going back and forth with No Quarter Catch Crew. You're doing some cool stuff. But Joe Hendry has been the one that's been consistent.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if it's not, maybe if not full-time, like he goes over there like as a part-time, like we're gonna give him a run here and then come back, or if maybe this is them taking him on full-time. And if that's the way it goes, that's great. Because Joe Hendry is one of those guys that's been grinding it out forever and deserves it.
We will have to see.
We'll see.
We will see. But that is the week of wrestling.
Yes, it is.
Which is nuts.
It's a lot. Down week.
Correct.
We said it was a down week to start, and we went 54 minutes talking about it.
54 minutes talking about it because we are marks. Throw that up. I'm going to get cut in the face. Throw that. That's fine.
No color on the program. We're gonna have to end the podcast to be believed.
Yeah, we're doing PG-13. It's fine.
TV 14.
You get one. But we are moving into our G1 preview, which it's already nuts to think that we're talking about a G1 right now because Yes, we started the podcast on the first week of July, but I still think that it's January.
I know this year is flying by.
So, basically, if you don't know about the G1, New Japan Pro Wrestling out in Japan. I can't just say Tokyo, Japan, but they go everywhere in Japan. Puts on a round robin tournament. Everybody in the blocks that they have created will go up against everyone else in that block, and they will receive points. I believe it is 2 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and 0 points for a loss, which tells you that there will be draws in this tournament, because that's how wrestling works.
Usually there is.
But like this year,
every G1 has some.
Correct. Last year, they changed it up a little bit, and they decided instead of Block A and Block B, they were going to do Block C and D as well. That got thrown out the window for this year. I believe it was just too much going on. I believe it was a smaller field for each block.
Well, I think instead of like at blocks A and B are usually like 10 men, I think that was like a 5-5-5 or a 6-6-6, whatever. Like, yeah, it was smaller fields, but I mean, it makes sense if you're looking at it like a playoff bracket.
Correct.
The winner of A and D face off and B and C face off, and but look, dude, having an A final, a B final, and the main final, not bad either.
Not at all. Not at all. But we got Block A and Block B this year. It will be running, and we are recording on the night of the 21st, which is the day before the episode will go live. It started on the 18th. Mm-hmm. We have already had 2 nights of G1, and all I'm hearing is that we are having banger after banger after banger. And some upsets at that, which is the perfect time for a New Japan style company to be running upsets. New Japan loves to run the ideal that you can have flat out non-title matches. And it can be against random freaking people that you never thought would be facing a champion. But if they get a pin on that champion, odds are in the next month or two, that person will be challenging for the title.
Yeah.
So the G1 is the perfect place to be bringing in new contenders, not just because the winner of the G1 challenges for their heavyweight title, but it also gives you more people to play on with in the future after all of this, or even in between this. Because the winner of the G1 challenges for the heavyweight title at Wrestle Kingdom in January. Which is nuts to think that we're already thinking about Wrestle Kingdom.
Love it.
Okay.
I love it.
But what we thought we would do, we are going to be keeping track of the G1 Climax. And we will do a middle of the road. Here's the rundown of what has happened so far. So in 2 weeks, we will be doing the middle episode. And then 2 weeks after that, we will be doing the conclusion, because the night we record that will be the day the finals of the tournament happen. So we will know who the winner of the tournament is on the conclusion episode. But that it will be in 4 weeks. So what we are going to do is do a little preview, kind of give you a rundown of all these guys that are participating. And we won't elaborate more than we need to. I have the page pulled up when they announced all of the participants for the G1 on the actual New Japan page. So I'm just going to go through. I believe they have stats to go along with them. We'll do some stats. We'll talk about each person real quick, and then we'll move on. So starting with the A block and just going down the website. The current IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Tetsuya Naito, who won in an upset at Forbidden Door against Jon Moxley.
Yep.
Coming in hot. I'm sure he's had a few matches since then. But he is in his 15th consecutive G1.
Dude, he's a workhorse, man.
If anyone is known for their G1 work, it is Tetsuya Naito. He has won 3 before this. He won last year, and if I remember correctly, beat Sonata for the title at Wrestle Kingdom last year.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Which was this year. Don't quote me, I'm not a wrestling historian. But yes, he is in his 15th consecutive. It is his 15th entry.
Yep. So
he has not stopped. And he has won 3. He has won 2013, 2017, and 2023. This guy's going to put on bangers. I can tell you already, Tetsuya Naito may not be entirely on his retirement tour, but he is coming down for it.
Yeah, I think at the very least he's starting to book venues for the tour, man. Like, he slowed down a little bit. Like, you can definitely tell he's not putting on the same speed he has been before, but he is still no slouch.
Not at all.
Like, it's still Naito. Like, he's going to bring it to you.
Before we continue, let me give you a brief little thing about New Japan. Think MMA, but professional wrestling. They are going to go out there and beat the ever-loving snot out of each other. And when I say snot, I mean sometimes it's literal snot. Like, liquids fly when a forearm is thrown to the face. My favorite thing is seeing sweat mist come off of these guys because it just shows you how hard they are actually hitting each other. But they are very much we believe in the fight, not necessarily the story. They do great jobs at telling stories, but they do it through the fighting instead of through camera works and promos and things like that.
I mean, last year, Kenta and Will Ospreay, they traded strikes for about 15 seconds, which doesn't sound like a long time, but picture just you and another human being. I throw the hardest forearm I can at you, you punch me in the face, and we go back and forth like that, and it's elbows, fists, and they're making so stiff a contact. I'm surprised neither man was knocked out.
Absolutely.
You see some of those strikes in like your average UFC fight, and you're like, that should be a knockout shot.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it was a mortal human that has never done that a day in their life would be an out cold strike one. They're beating the holy hell out of each other.
And they train for that.
And they
also train to get dropped on their heads.
They do this for 4 weeks. Like, this tournament runs 4 weeks, and not every match is going to be that level of violent, but a lot of them are.
Not every match is going to be that violent, and they run matches and shows pretty much every night of the week. I believe Sundays they do not run anything, and then maybe Wednesdays or Thursdays they don't run anything. Other than that, their schedule's full. They are traveling around Japan and going at it night after night after night.
They definitely do. I think it's like 2 and 3 show bursts because I was looking it up for the scheduling, and it is 19 nights of the G1 over the course of 4 weeks. So you have a day or two off here and there.
Yep.
But a lot of times when they run shows, it's not like one show, 2 days later show. It's like show, day off, 2 shows, 2 days off, show, day off. Like, it's grueling. I think that's what makes the G1 so special.
Yes.
Is it is constant, and I've heard somebody describe it as you wake up and you've got new matches from your favorite wrestlers like all throughout the week.
Yeah. And the great thing is
amazing.
They're in Japan, which for us being in Louisiana is most of the time it airs at, I believe it's 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning.
I think some of them between 2 and 4, something like that. Like they're happening. And by the time these shows are over, like I remember watching, I think it was one of the last Okada Ospreay matches. I remember the show happened. I saw a clip of it on my way into work that morning. I got to work, I sat down, I watched the whole match. It's just like, boom, like, it's last night this happened before I woke up this morning, and this whole show's ready to go when I get to work. Amazing, like it's great.
You're very lucky that you get to watch wrestling at work.
I am.
It's great. Shout out to Agile Brewing off of Airline across the way from Klein Peter. We are not sponsored, but
I mean, they pay my bills. I'm sponsored, I guess.
Yeah, that kind of counts. All right. Anyway, second member of the A block, Shota Umino. I'm gonna mess it up. Umino. There you go.
Umino. Or as John Moxley calls him, Shooter.
I shouldn't have messed it up. But it is his second entry, second consecutive. He ran last year. His personal best was 2-3-2 record. So he had 2 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses in 2023. That's solid
for a former young lion on his first G1.
Correct. It was
Not
a
bad.
solid record, and I can see him being better this year. He is not one of the guys that they are going to shove losses in the face of.
No, he has been on a tear.
Which, I mean, then again, now that I say that phrase, we have been surprised with some guys that have anywhere from 3 or 4 losses on their card. But we will see. Maybe we can talk about that after we run through them. Next up, we have Shingo Takagi. Good Lord. Where to start with that dude? Yeah, right. 6th entry, 6th consecutive. Personal best record is 6-2-1. I believe that had to have been a year that Will Ospreay was involved.
I think it had to be.
Had to be. Because the one was either... it was 2021, so it had to have been...
Okada or Ospreay.
Okada, Ospreay, or maybe Naito.
Maybe Naito, yeah.
Maybe Naito. Takagi can tear your head off faster than you can count. Next up, we have Sonata. We are throwing all of LIJ, former LIJ, let me clarify,
now
into the block A, which I love. So Sonata is part of the Five Guys faction. Naito, Takagi are part of the Los Ignorables de Japón. I know I jacked that up.
I'll slide in. Los Ingobernables de Japón.
Yeah, see?
I'm the pronunciation guy here.
Which is actually a faction in CMLL.
Yes.
Moved to Japan, and Naito made it and brought all these guys in. Phenomenal storytelling via that. But Sonata, who is now part of Just Five Guys, used to be part of LIJ. He is the 4th member, if I can count correctly, of the A block. 9th entry, 9th consecutive. You will see that a lot between these guys. Major top guys that they want to create do not miss a G1. They would rather miss months of action before a G1 and then enter in and run a month worth of action every day straight.
Yeah.
Sonata's personal best.
Star making show right there. Or like star making run is the G1.
Correct. Sonata's personal best was a runner-up position in 2020. He has never won the G1. Trying to remember. No. 2020 was the year that he and Evil had the finals.
Yes.
For the G1, where Evil turned Bullet Club.
Yes. One of my favorite moments that year. Because
Well,
it was kind of shocking. You knew at some point Evil and Sonata were going to break up. You knew Evil was going to turn heel. It's in the name. But to join Bullet Club was such a slap in the face, man. It was one of those moments you'll never forget.
Well, now that I say that, next member is Evil. But it is saying that his personal best is semifinalist. Which means Sonata beat Evil to become runner-up of the finals. I do not remember how that match went.
I think Evil turned on Sonata after the G1.
Okay.
Because I think that set up the run of Evil with the championship. I may be wrong.
I don't remember.
I will never forget the moment itself. I could probably not tell you the actual show it happened on. I just remember watching Evil turn and put that Bullet Club shirt on, dude. It was one of those like chills run down your spine.
His little they do the fist up in the air together for LIJ, and for Sonata to put up that fist, and for Evil to go and put it up and then do the too sweet onto the fist and just lay him out.
Lopped his head off, dude.
Dude,
amazing.
It was nuts.
One of the things
nuts.
We're bringing up this common theme. One of the things that New Japan does, I think, better than a lot of companies is you get this tournament format. You're going to see each other night in, night out. Putting stablemates and former stablemates in the same blocks, you've got these, built-in stories of like this guy that you've got this hatred for, or next week you have to show up and fight the guy that is 9 times out of 10 standing right by your side. And now you guys are pit face-to-face.
Which is sometimes the greatest matches.
Yeah.
Most of the time is the greatest matches. Absolutely. But next entrant number 5 or 6, Great Okan, representing the United Empire. good to know that that faction is still running strong. Fourth entry, fourth consecutive. His personal best is 4-5. 4 wins, 5 losses, no draws. I can never see Great Okan coming to a draw.
No, he's gonna win or die trying.
What to say about Khan? He's just a big dude, man.
Khan's a big dude. He is funny as all hell. Just to
and
follow him in life.
He loves his women.
He loves them women.
Absolutely.
Great Okan is something, man.
Absolutely. Next we have ZSJ, Zack Sabre Jr.
One of the greatest technical wrestlers in the world.
One of the greatest technical wrestlers in the world. We've talked about him at Forbidden Door. Because he had a match at Forbidden Door. We've talked about him previously on the podcast. Go back and watch one of those episodes. I believe it was actually the first episode that we released.
First or second, but yeah, I mean, the ZSJ is one of those guys, man. Like he turns some fans off because it's so technical. But if you are like one of these fans that one of the sickos like us that just love the sport of wrestling,
yes,
his matches are ridiculous because the way he finds ways to transition out of holds into other holds, roll submission to another submission, like his body moves like no other human being.
Yes, very much so. And we have witnessed it, you know, like it. Yeah. I take notes on that guy all the time.
As well, you should.
Seeing him go from an arm bar and then just moving one leg and it being a triangle choke. Okay, sure.
He makes it look easy, and it's so not easy to do.
It's not. Doing. It's so much thinking. It's so much thinking.
Effortless. It's crazy.
Absolutely. His personal best quarterfinalist last year.
Which seems like he should go further, but maybe
sometimes that's the trend, and then other times they have a bad year, and then the year after is their good year. So we shall see. I don't believe. Nope, we got a few more, actually, for Block A. We got Gabe Kidd. Good old Gabriel Kidd.
WCPW zone.
Flying on a magic carpet. Slave to a Middle Eastern man.
Wrestling's
If
fun,
you don't
folks.
know what I'm talking about, go watch WCPW. It's awesome.
Oh, man.
May it rest in peace with the dirt bags that it fell with. Second entry, second consecutive. His record was 2-4-1 last year. Thought he would have done way better, but this was actually, I guess, then again, this was before Gabe Kidd was Gabe Kidd.
Right.
I believe
he was still finding himself.
He was not a young boy. He was out of the young boy phase. Young Lion. Let me correct myself.
Yeah, Young Lion.
I believe they call them Young Lions.
They do.
But now he has an attitude. Now he's got this fierce, I want to beat the hell out of everybody kind of attitude. We'll run with it. I think he's going to go far. We'll see what happens. Making his debut in G1. Let me use my words properly. And representing Noah, Jake Lee.
Yep.
Who has been solid. I've seen very little of his work. I do not believe he's been in Noah long. I believe he came from another indie in Japan, came on to Noah, wrestled with them and their titles for a little bit. Noah is another Japanese country
promotion.
Company.
It's late.
I can do words good. A Japanese company that does not rival New Japan, but it does team up sometimes and bring in extra talent because Japan understands what it's like for everybody to work together in one happy family because they want to give their wrestling fans more wrestling. One of these days, tribalism won't exist. Anyway, continuing on. Then we have on this website what we called the qualifier. Basically, we entered in 6 contestants, I guess. Combatants, that's a better word.
Yeah, combatants is better.
Into a small little just actual tournament, like bracketed tournament. And whoever comes out is going to be the 10th member of that block. They did both Block A and Block B participants. I'll go ahead and spoil it. Block A was Callum Newman, who I'm going to call it. It's going to be the next Will Ospreay.
Really?
I'm going to call it now.
Put it on the board.
So first off, once again, we're recording 2 days after this tournament started, and we're trying to avoid spoilers until we all watch it ourselves. So we have a few things to go through. Callum, we're going to go way back in time. There used to be a company in UK called Lucha Circus, I believe is what it was called. And Will Ospreay wrestled under a mask and did a bunch of stuff at Lucha Circus before he ever touched Progress. Or maybe it was during Progress. I cannot confirm because I am not a wrestling historian. That's going to be a t-shirt.
I was about to say it. That's coming soon to Pro Wrestling Tees or Brainbuster or wherever.
But when Will left, Callum was on the rise. And so he handed Callum his mask and let him wrestle underneath that character. Because they had very similar fighting styles. Callum is to the point that he was thinking about quitting, and Will told him, no, like, you're an idiot if you quit. You're too good to do this. Keep going. Will brought Callum underneath the United Empire. And now Callum is killing it in New Japan, just like Will did. It just took one person to kick him over the edge,
yep.
And now he's here. And I say he's going to be the next Will Ospreay because my boy showed up in the equivalent of Will Ospreay trunks and jacket, fur-lined and everything, to the G1 tournament, which I'm just like, if you wanted to confirm that you were going to be the next one, you might as well confirm it that way. So
just lean into it.
I'm excited for Callum. I think he's a wild card. Like, he could be middle range. I do not see him getting above middle range.
Not right out of the gate.
G1, they like to throw curveballs in the G1, man. Everybody in that block, I don't see a better curveball than Callum.
Look, Ospreay when he came in was not the Will Ospreay we know now. There was a period where he was putting on bangers and taking the loss.
Yep.
And rose through that junior heavyweight scene and became one of the greatest of all time. So maybe Absolutely. that's the same path. Maybe he has to go through this G1 and just get his ass handed to him.
We will
to awaken the beast.
Look, and I mean, I hate to say it, maybe he's the guy that they stick losses on. And I would hate to see it. I really would, but it could be.
But I mean, with pro wrestling, man, if you take a loss, but the match itself is good, in the fans' eyes, like they still can get behind a guy that's losing in like a G1.
Yeah.
If he's bringing it every night.
Absolutely.
Alex Coughlin last year. Sadly, he didn't get to capitalize on it, but man, star-making promo, star-making performances. The guy consistently taking losses, but he was so fun to get behind.
Indeed. And then I'll go ahead and talk about the B-Block qualifier. Talking about a guy that's going to take losses. The guy who qualified in the B-Block, Bolton Olek. I have not seen his work. He seems like a Lawler. I'm forgetting his first name.
Oh, Tom Lawler?
Tom Lawler. He seems
Filthy Tom.
Very close in appearance to Tom Lawler. So I can only imagine that he has the very similar MMA style that Lawler has. I'd be excited to see him work, but when it comes to some of the names in the B block, I see either him or maybe one other person that I do not recognize being on the lower standard of the B block. But going through, that was technically the first member. Second member, we're going to kind of speed run this. Hiroki Goto. I can do words good. I don't speak Japanese. 17th entry, 17 consecutive. He has only won one G1 in 2008.
Yep.
Goto, absolute killer. Absolute killer. I love Goto every time he steps in the ring. I've seen him work to too many people. And I've seen too many people take his moveset.
Yeah.
I see you, Finn Balor. El Phantasmo, third entry, third consecutive. This guy is just a ball of charisma.
Dude, he's so much fun.
He is the fun guy. But his career best 3-3, 50% record on that one in 2022.
That tracks. He's one of those guys that puts on really fun matches but can take a loss.
Yes.
You're not gonna not find him fun because he lost. He's a good time.
I need you to count. I'm skipping one because I want to elaborate on him. We've got Yuya Umura. See, Japanese. Umura, I believe. Umura. Uemura. Umura. Very first Climax. I think he's going to do well. They always have like one upset. They always have the one upset. Are you looking up the pronunciation?
I'm looking up the names because I'm gonna have to catch you on some of these.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's all
we've got Jeff Cobb. Boy.
Jeff Cobb's a machine. Looks a lot like a guy named the Monster Matanza from Lucha Underground. I was about to say,
this may not be a spoiler, but go check out Lucha Underground and go watch Matanza
Cueto.
Matanza Cueto. But yes, his record 8-1, his sixth entry, sixth consecutive. Personal best was in 2021. We have Hanare representing the United Empire as well. So we have United Empire factionists in the B block. My favorite thing that I heard from Will Ospreay in a small little documentary that he heard was Hanare is a dude that will take your head off and then turn right back around backstage and make sure that your head is put back on your head.
That's the stuff I love in wrestling. I want the violent match and the dude who's actually a solid guy behind the scenes.
Absolutely. But skipping through, David Finlay, third entry, third consecutive. His personal best was quarterfinalist last year. Solid.
Yeah, solid.
Son of Fit Finlay, for those unaware. Decided to go the New Japan route instead of the WWE route and is freaking flourishing.
I would say I think he made the right decision. He plays to the New Japan crowd way more.
Absolutely. And look, if it's his quote-unquote excursion and he's going back to, like, if he goes to WWE, I don't know. I really don't. I don't think it would happen. But there's a chance maybe later down the road, maybe he wins an IWGP championship or something and keeps going. Maybe a couple years from now, we could see it.
A lot of Bullet Club members have ended up in WWE.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's almost like the leader got brought in. And then another leader got brought in. And then leader 0.5 got brought in. It's weird.
Hey, anyway, Bullet Club is fine.
Anyway, Rin Narita, second entry, second consecutive personal best was 3-4 last year. Rin is a dude that I think could go quite far in this tournament this year. One of the quote-unquote young lions. He is not a young lion anymore. He has become Rin Narita. But I call him a young lion because I go back to the COVID G1, where they brought in, typically the G1 consists of only heavyweight people, like champions. Mm-hmm. Or not champions, but contenders.
Yeah, heavyweight contenders.
And when I say heavyweight, I mean above 100 kilos, or in American pounds, that's 205. Typically, they only go that route. So far, they've been keeping up with that. I'm still not convinced Callum Newman is 205 pounds, but we'll talk about that later.
Gimmick hoot.
Correct. But in COVID years, they did a big 64-man tournament, not round robin, but just flat out. Excuse me, that was not the G1. That was the New Japan Cup.
New Japan Cup.
Which is actually a bracketed tournament. They did a big 64-man tournament where they brought in heavyweights, junior heavyweights, which is their cruiserweight division. They also brought in the Young Lions. So all these guys that I'm calling Young Lions have graduated out of that, but in my headspace, they're still Young Lions because they were able to participate that year.
Right.
I'm sorry that my brain thinks weirdly. I have self-diagnosed ADHD.
I still think of times it's crazy watching, because I remember Jay White coming off Excursion and turning down Bullet Club before becoming the leader of Bullet Club later and everything.
And that's been like 6 years.
I still think like Jay White had enough time to turn on Kenny, Kenny left. He joins Bullet Club, becomes leader of Bullet Club, leaves to AEW. And in my brain, I'm still like, oh yeah, that's I mean, one of the greatest of all time. But he's still young Lion Jay White.
Yeah,
to me. He's the
he's
kid with the switchblade scar that has gone away somehow.
Yes. I'm happy it went away. And then we've got the next two wild cards, in my opinion.
Yes.
I'm not going to try and pronounce his first name. Takeshita.
Konosuke Takeshita.
Yes. Takeshita representing AEW and DDT. If you don't know about DDT, think Brawl style of New Japan and Noah for their bigger title matches.
Yep.
And then if you want comedy and you think matches can be fun, go check out DDT. Go check them out.
Nobody let Jim Cornette know about DDT.
And then
don't do it.
If you're not just satisfied with the comedy and you're not just satisfied with the hard-hitting action, just turn around and ask for violence because DDT can do that too.
Yes.
Takeshita, we have seen in action on AEW, and time after time, I tell you that this guy is top-notch talent. He was top star in DDT for the longest time, got brought into AEW through Kenny Omega, is doing some great work with Don Callis and his whole family, and I'm excited that he's in the G1. He's going to tear the house down. But the second wild card of the B block, none other than Yota Tsuji. Once again, a young lion. He's a younger star, but boy, can he freaking hit. I remember watching this guy and going, so his whole gimmick is that he does a football tackle? And now he is so far from that. He is so far from a football tackle. I remember...
He started off as like the Japanese version of Goldberg. It's like, oh, great, he's going to shoulder tackle people.
It wasn't bad. But I remember watching those first matches of the COVID New Japan Cup and him getting in that 3-point stance before he hit a spear on somebody. I was like, okay, so he just plays American football.
Right.
Cool. Awesome. Which I'm sure is probably how he got into the dojo, if I had to guess. But I believe that is it. That is 10 and 10.
That is 10 and 10.
That is 10 and 10. Yeah, because we talked about Bolton. 10 and 10. Block A, Block B, and once again, we have avoided spoilers so far. But we already know that there are upsets, there are bangers, and this tournament is going to be wild. We have said that we are going to get together the night before our middle podcast, mid G1 podcast.
Yes.
And go back and watch the bangers. Well, so far we already have 4 or 5, and it's only day 2.
It's going to be a long day, brother.
It's going to be a long day. We'll see what happens.
The things we do for the love of wrestling.
Correct. And then we turn around, and then in 2 weeks, we're going to recap the second half of the G1 together and put out a podcast on, I believe, the 19th is when that episode will release, where we do a G1 conclusion. It's going to be nuts.
Do we do a quick who would you like to see take it?
Oh, dude, I don't know if I can predict who is going to take it yet.
Don't think with your heart, who do you want to see win this thing more than anybody?
With my heart in the entire G1, or are we just taking block and block?
Leave your brain totally out of this. In your heart, who do you want to see in the main event at Wrestle Kingdom?
My brain has to work just to focus on who all's in it.
Oh man, my pick is one of those. It's a heart pick, head pick. I've probably got 10 different guys that could take it, but heart pick, dude, I want to see Takeshita in the main event at Wrestle Kingdom. If nothing else, just for the synergy between the two companies, but also because Takeshita is a freaking star in the making, and I think he would put on an absolute banger against Naito.
So I have Takeshita, if not in the finals, in the finals of his block.
I think that's about right. I think that's.
I have Tsuji up there as well.
Yep.
Spoilers, that's one of the barn burners. We don't know who won or who lost. but that's one of the barn burners, I've already been told. So I think they're going to go, we need to run that back again. And they're going to make it the finals of that block. And whoever wins goes on to the finals of the G1. When it comes to the A block, I can't see Naito winning it. I cannot see Naito going on. I can see him getting oh so close. Whether it's finals in that block or just missing the finals of that block. Yeah, I don't know. Shingo's always a favorite. I just think Shingo's at this point a character that doesn't need it. He doesn't need the G1 win.
He's gonna put on wars without it.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna think he's just as much of a badass without it.
Absolutely. I think Shota could run away with it.
Dude, Shota would be awesome.
But he's got so many tight contenders.
I'd love to see Shota at least make like a semi.
Absolutely.
Because I think just from him being the young boy that Moxley like drug around, like literally Moxley knocked him out and then picked him up and carried him around during all the promo interviews at the end and everything.
Press conference, whatever, yeah.
From the memes of like John Moxley's adopting this young boy and bringing him home to like he is on this run where it's like he is going to be a freaking star. He's got the look, he's got the swagger, he's got the moves. He's just so freaking good.
He's good, dude. He's going to be up there in the next couple of years. And I'm ready for it. I think it's going to be a good time. Yeah, dude, I don't know. Heart of Hearts, like Takeshita, of course. Like, if you want to cement a star, you go with Takeshita. Though this is where my brain kicks in. I don't think they're going to do it.
I don't think they will.
It could blend the companies very well together, but I don't believe they're going to do it because Takeshita, as great as he is not a top star in AEW. He is a very good star in AEW. He is not a top star.
I think he will be at some point, but it's not currently.
Correct.
And I think you could also, as much as I said, like, just in my heart, I'd love to see him main event the Tokyo Dome because I think that'd be crazy. Yeah. Just seeing a DDT, a DDT affiliated and AEW affiliated star in that spot would be awesome. I mean, there's so many guys in the company that could really use that spot also. Yeah. Which I think is the beauty of the G1, man. There's 20 entrants, and there's about 15 guys that I could see main eventing the Tokyo Dome.
And it's that way.
And the other 5, I wouldn't be stunned if they ended up there. Like it's one of those like nobody that's in this tournament can I go like, are they seriously going to put it on this guy? G1's a great time.
Callum Newman, but
you just talked him up for 5 minutes. What are you talking about?
But that is who I am. Okay, I talk myself up for 30 minutes, and then I go, but I did lose the other night. Like, just want to make that clear. I am the best of the best, but I've lost like the past 7 matches that I've had.
You tell the story like it's Okada Omega 2, and it's like, yeah, by the way, I lost in 8 minutes.
Right. You got to sell yourself, man. But anyway, that is the G1 recap altogether. Like we said, Heart of Hearts, Takeshita has it. Our brain probably says Shingo, Naito, Evil, one of those. If that's just an A block, B block, Cobb.
Maybe that's where the star-making moment for David Finlay happens. Maybe that's where we finally see the title run. There's so many ways it could go.
Correct. But we'll see. So once again, next week, I'll just call it. We're going to have a watch-along. It will be unconfirmed. I cannot confirm what is going on. I have 2 ideas, and it depends on if we can get a special guest on or not. If we can get a special guest on, then we will be watching one match. And if we can't get a special guest on, then we will be watching another match. So either way, we're getting a watch-along. Special guest, if you're listening, and I know you are. Come on. Make it happen. You're very special guest. I know you're watching. Rest in peace. But anyway, Dylan, what is up with this podcast that you're doing? Tell us about it.
So actually, here in the next, as we're recording, probably 30, 45 minutes.
That's why I'm trying to wrap it up.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I'm going to be doing this Figure Fed podcast. We're calling the podcast Brand Wars. It will be under the Action Figure Weekly podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Google. We are doing a brand split of just AEW and talent that have been on AEW. If you listen, spoilers, there might be some New Japan talent. Because I'm me.
Yes.
But, it's AEW and people that have worked with AEW that are not under contract with WWE, TNA, wherever. So we're basically making the idea is if we could fantasy book what's happening in AEW currently, what would we do? So I think it's going to be a good time.
It'll be a good one.
Hopefully it's good. And if not, we're doing it for 6 months. So, I think it'll be a good time, though, man.
There's plenty of time to air out the kinks.
There's been a lot of fun ideas lofted back and forth. I think it's going to be a good time. So check out Brand Wars. And then if you want to find me on socials, Dylan Gilbert on pretty much everything. Every now and again, I toss wrestling takes out there.
Heck yeah.
Heck
yeah. If we can get the link to that podcast and whatnot, I'll put it down in the description. If it's not in the description, then it'll be in the comments.
I'll send it in.
Go do what you got to do. For me, you can find me at Alex Braddock or the Alex Braddock, depending on where you're at on social medias, Facebook, Instagram. I think that's all I got. I'm really bad at self-promotion. Eventually, I know I keep saying it, and the hope is that I'm hyping it up. Eventually,
storytelling.
We will have Victory Roll games in action, which is my love for board games in full circle for everyone to see and everyone to enjoy, whether that's board game reviews, board game playthroughs. Yes, eventually I will be getting that out. Life is rough. Life is tough. Life is long sometimes.
As Brody King says, man, life's hard. Be harder.
It's going to happen. But get hyped for it, and when it does happen, you can find out here. Very last thing, don't forget to subscribe. Yes, I'm going to be that cheesy YouTuber that tells you don't forget to subscribe, because if you've listened this long, that means you'll listen to another episode. So subscribe. I don't even know if we have a bell icon, but if there is, hit it. You can get the notification when we put up the next video. If you follow me on Facebook, all the notifications are there as well. But also, post about us. We don't pay for advertising. We're very small. If you share our posts out and about and give more people the views on, hey, these guys just recap wrestling. I can't tell you how many people have actually thanked me because we recap what has happened in the week and what our big standouts are, because they don't have time to watch it.
Yeah.
So that's really the reason why we do it. Me and Dylan love talking about wrestling, so we said, screw it, we're gonna recap what's going on.
We talk for hours about it anyway. Let's put it online.
Correct. Absolutely.
So, be like a classic Taking Back Sunday album and tell all your friends.
Yes, absolutely. But without further ado, I end the podcast the same way that we started. Whether it is a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, or a good night, whatever time of day that you have listened, whatever time of day it is now, thank you for joining the Victory Roll Wrestling Podcast. Y'all have a good night.